warned Ghost of Sparta. Do not pursue this path. The gods have no power over me, Thanatos.
After the Great War with the Titans, the Oracle had foretold the demise of the Olympian gods and the destruction of Olympus.
Athena! You lied to me!
It would be brought about not by the hands of the Titans, but by the hands of a mortal, a marked warrior. Whoever controlled the marked warrior controlled the fate of Olympus.
Forgive me.
You were given the honor to walk among the gods.
The gods lied to me! Where is my brother?
The temple of Ares in Sparta holds the secret.
Kratos knew he had to return to Atlantis. Only there would he find the entrance to Death's domain.
The destruction of Poseidon's kingdom will not bode well on Olympus.
Not even the fates will prevent me from ending your path.
Kratos knew that deep within the raging abyss lay the answer to a question he was not yet prepared to ask. Was Deimos still alive?
And welcome back to Let's Play God of War, Ghost of Sparta, the beginning of the end. We start in the Vortex. This is one of the more difficult encounters in the entire game. You're going to be dealing with a lot of Poseidon's Triton enemies. These are upgraded versions of the Tritons that we faced at the beginning of the game, so they're not going to be as fragile as they were then. They have a lot more health. They can take a lot more punishment from Hyperion attacks. This is the part of the game where most enemies that you try to Hyperion grapple, they're still pretty susceptible to it, but it takes a lot more hits to actually kill them compared to before. So in this particular fight as well, you don't really want to waste your time Hyperion, attacking enemies after you grapple to the ground. You really want to take advantage of Hyperion throwing. So the main strategy for this whole Vortex section is increasing the amount of time that you're invincible, and you do that with Hyperion grappling and /throwing, with regular grabs. You want to spend most of your time doing as much grabbing with the enemies here as possible. The only two enemies you're going to be facing here are the new Triton enemies and these Harpy enemies. And you want to spend as much time being invincible as possible. So just grab everything that comes at you all the time. No stopping. That should be the only thing you're doing in the high difficulties is grabbing, whether it's Hyperion grappling, whether it's regular grabbing as I'm doing right now. Grab enemies as much as you can for as long as you can, because you want to be invincible for as much of this as you can, because it's not that crazy now, but it's going to get a little bit crazier in just a little bit. And you'll already noticed, by the way, the video hiccup that we had earlier. A lot of video hiccups in this section. This is the last part of the game that truly crap, that my video editor just couldn't handle at all for some reason. Again, new computer, getting a new recording device, so hopefully that's going to be a thing of the past after Ghost of Sparta. But this video in particular, Atlantis, is really going to kick my recording device's butt in terms of video hiccups and lost footage, unfortunately. This second part of the Vortex, where Poseidon starts raining down lightning on you because, God, he really is not happy with you destroying Atlantis. And why would he be? It's his city, and you fucking just wrecked it completely. At this point, lightning is going to be coming down. It's going to start off pretty tame with just like one bolt of lightning at a time. It's going to increase in speed and increase in the number of lightning bolts that crash onto the ship. So this is why you want to spend most of your time being invincible as you possibly can. So whether it's Hyperion grabbing, regular grabbing, throwing after you've slammed the enemy to the ground with a Hyperion grapple, do as much grabbing as you can, because you want to spend the majority of this encounter invincible. And use your magic too. This is one of the times where Scourge of Aranis and Eye of Atlantis is super encouraged because of the invincibility frames, or in Scourge of Aranis' case, the ability to push enemies around and stun lock them for a few precious seconds. God, my recording device is really taking a hit. It's really taking a hit from from the stupid vortex area. And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse once we actually get to Atlantis itself. So, apologies for that in advance, but that's just the way it is. And I had a really good run with the vortex too, so I was really not happy when I saw that. Really not happy when I saw how much of the footage was messed up. But after a certain amount of time, finally, the vortex is over, and you can finally head into Atlantis proper. Here's a cutscene.
Desecrated my kingdom! I shall not forget this, Ghost of Sparta! You will answer for this affront!
I mean, I'm sure that won't have any consequences in the later games. I'm pretty sure that this isn't going to come back to bite us in the later games, like in the opening of one of the games. I'm sure that's not going to come back to bite us for any reason. No way. Welcome back to Atlantis. We're back in Atlantis proper. Despite Poseidon not wanting us here, we're here and we're going to be sticking around. This is the first part of the end game. The first of 3 episodes that have us squarely in the endgame. The first episode of the endgame is us back in Atlantis. The second and third episodes will be us in the domain of death. But for now, we have Atlantis, and we have some more lore about Lord Poseidon, and just, beloved in his kingdom, but no kingdom anymore. That's a shame. Meanwhile, we still have Sparta, so we still have our own kingdom, basically. I'm sure that won't come back to bite us either. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, with us back in Atlantis, we can now see the focus of Ready at Dawn Studios. We can now see what the true focus of Ready at Dawn Studios' development time was put on, and that's Atlantis. That's making Atlantis look as amazing as possible, because Atlantis was the big selling point of Ghost of Sparta, being able to visit the underwater kingdom that you find out as you play that you sunk. This is the main focus of the game. This is the part of the game they wanted to make as pretty as possible, and they succeeded. I mean, the underwater area alone looks phenomenal for a PSP title, and obviously even better as a PlayStation 3 remaster. And I already gushed in earlier episodes about how great Atlantis looked and the island of Crete looked in those episodes as well. The game looks fantastic. It looks especially fantastic when you're in Atlantis and the island of Crete, because those are the areas that really got the most focus and attention when developing Ghost of Sparta. Because again, Atlantis was the big selling point for Ghost of Sparta. This was the big area that the developers really put a lot of time in bringing to life, as it were. Both the nice version and the messed up version that we're in right now. Atlanteans have survived, but, not for long. Any Atlanteans you see, go ahead and kill them. Not only do you get some free health, but you also get red orbs, so no reason not to kill them, considering that we still would like to upgrade some things further. Again, we're at a point where all the necessary upgrades that we had to do for the endgame have been done. Our Blades of Athena are maxed out, our Theros Bane is maxed out, and our Arms of Sparta are level 3, but we can make them better, and we have the time and red orbs necessary for the remainder of the game to make them a little bit better. So no reason not to do that. Just showing off that nothing up there. ABE, always be exploring. As is the case here, you want to make sure you jump back here for some extra red orbs. At this point, we have collected all the collectibles in the game, all the Gorgon's Eyes, Minotaur Horns, and Phoenix Feathers. So every single item chest that we open up, if it was supposed to have some sort of collectible in it originally, now it's just going to have more red orbs for us. And other kinds of orbs as well. We have an encounter here. This is another Grayan. Or Garion, I think. Yeah, Garion. I keep calling them Greymons or Grayons. It's Garyons. It's these electric cults. Another one of these, as well as some Triton assassins, long range Atlantean monster things that throw blades at us. The assassins are very quick to deal with, and because we have Arms of Sparta at level 3, even the Grayon is the Garyon. I'm going to keep saying that. Grayon, Garyon. Even this thing was very, very quick to deal with. There is an encounter with Garyon later on that I'm going to mess up quite a few times on because of the awkward arena. But when it comes to regular fights, regular straight fights, very, very easy. And now it's going to be even easier because my Arms of Sparta are even more powerful now, which is great. Everything possible to make the end game even easier for ourselves. Though now we're going to get an example of just how bulky these new Triton enemies are. These new upgraded Triton enemies are. Because even with my most powerful Arms of Sparta, the best weapon in this game, it still takes a lot of spears before they actually die. Which just goes to show you just how bulky these endgame versions of the Tritons are as compared to what they were like in the beginning of the game. Thankfully, there's an invisible wall here, so they can't actually get close to you. So you can just back up to here, just let them run at you infinitely, never actually reaching you, and just hurl your spears and just kill them. That's it. Nothing more to it. Optional little area here on the side by the save point with a couple of more item chests, as well as another Triton enemy hidden behind this wall. Now I'm going to show off just how many hits it takes with Hyperion Grapple to actually kill a Triton enemy, and just how many red orbs you get from these guys. So it's pretty crazy just how much health they have for the end game, but it's also pretty fantastic that they have so much health because you can just really, really beat them down and get a lot of red orbs from beating them up with Hyperion Grapples. You know, it's not thousands of red orbs, but it's enough to make a difference to upgrade your stuff as soon as possible. Quick save point here. We're about to come up to a point where I lost a lot of footage again, and unfortunately this piece of lost footage cut out me opening an item chest, so I'm going to once again rely on another YouTuber to show off some of that lost footage. Again, this part of the game really was not kind to my video recorder. My video recorder just couldn't handle it. But again, new computer, getting a new game recorder. So hopefully this kind of stuff will be a thing of the past post Ghost of Sparta. But for now, we have one more big oopsie, big hiccup here to deal with in terms of our recording, and it's gonna start right about now. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So I lost this whole chunk of footage here, which not that much happens honestly, except for the fact that I do find another item chest the same way this person found it. So just imagine this split in color and me doing it. Just some stuff there. Then he dives back down just as I did to go ahead and open the gate, and that's it. That's the lost footage. There's a few more video hiccups after this. It's gonna stop in a few minutes, thank goodness. But it's still very annoying that it happened at all, and I'm not super happy with how that turned out, especially since my run in Atlantis was pretty good overall. So the fact that a lot of the footage got corrupted was a little heartbreaking once I started reviewing all the footage. A lot of swimming in this. as you'd expect. This was a big thing that Ready at Dawn wanted to push, because they wanted to make the swimming, you know, nice. And I think they mostly succeeded with that, just by making the underwater look really nice and adding more context for why you're swimming through the sunken city of Atlantis, as opposed to just random underwater areas from other games. It really adds a layer to the swimming that wasn't there really in Ascension or Chains of Olympus or original God of War. So, good job on making the swimming a nice tense little thing. Just swimming through the consequences of our decision making here. This particular fight with Tritons, not something you really want to mess around in too much. Thankfully, I was in a situation where I only had one Triton there to actually bother me, so I was able to do a lot of Hyperion grappling as well. But generally, you want to use the Arms of Sparta for the Triton assassins that are far away, and you want to use the blades and the Hyperion grapples and all that for the Tritons that are on the platform with you. Do grabs, do everything you can to be invincible for as much time as you can. It's a very small arena, so you're not going to have that much room to maneuver in, or use other weapons aside from the blades. So, and the fact that you have enemies trying to pick at you from a distance is also pretty annoying. But again, being able to be invincible while grabbing is a big godsend. It really helps out. It really makes the process of fighting more manageable, as you can pick which enemies to go after first. You can, as you're invincible, you can kind of calculate what your next move is going to be. It's very good to be invincible as often as possible in Ghost of Sparta. And with that done, we can move on. We can actually move on to the main part of Atlantis, the main section that we're going to be focusing most of our time in. So far, we've been building up to this main area, but now we're actually getting into the center of Atlantis, which I believe is called Ancient Atlantis. Is that? Yeah, it's Ancient Atlantis. That's what it's called. So the Death Gate is all the way at the other side of this giant chasm here. We need to raise a bridge to actually get to the Death Gate and actually access the Domain of Death. We have to reactivate the Poseidon statues that are on the right side, because you'll notice that the two Poseidon statues on the left side have a glowing blue center, but the ones on the right don't. So we have to reactivate the glowing blue center on the two Poseidon statues on our right side, so they match up with the left side, and then we can use them to raise a bridge to get us to Death Gate. At this point, however, I think we're going to be coming up on a cutscene, so yeah, I'll go ahead and let you watch that.
It is not too late to turn back, Kratos. No good will come of this journey. The gods...
I am done with the gods! Return to Olympus and leave me be.
Your brother was a threat to Olympus, Kratos. What was done had to be done. Forgive me. Forgive me.
You were there. Why? Why didn't you help him?
I was there for you, Kratos. You had to be saved.
You should have saved him. I should have saved him.
There is more to this than you could possibly know, Kratos.
Lies and riddles. It's all you give me, Athena. I will save my brother, and you will stay out of my way.
Oof, man. The relationship between Kratos and Athena was, never the best, but now it's especially becoming very, very strained. She made him a god, and he just does not give a shit about that. And why would he, really? At this point, we're now entering the Nexus of Atlantis. The title will pop up in a second. And we open up the Nexus of Atlantis with a big Triton fight. I messed it up the first time, just because I wasn't taking full advantage of the invincibility frames that... I wasn't taking full advantage of the invincibility frames that I was given from the Tritons, and the fact that Tritons do a lot of damage to you. So even though you have ways to deal with them, you know, with the grabs and, you know, Thera's Bane and Arms of Sparta, they can still do a lot of damage if you're not ready to parry their big leaping attacks. But for the most part, this fight is the same as previous encounters with Tritons. Just grab them, take advantage of invincibility frames, whether it's Hyperion grabs or regular grabs as I'm doing right now. Take advantage of that because they do a lot of damage to you. It's pretty difficult to time the proper parry for them, and you can block them. But if you just do a regular block on a Triton's leaping attack, it's going to stun Kratos for a moment. It's not just a straight block. You either have to parry it or you block it, and if you block it, then you're going to be stunned for a little bit. So it's a good idea to dodge out of the way of them, just so you don't risk getting stunned as opposed to parrying them. And then after that, you can go ahead and grab them and get the invincibility frames and deal with the rest of the Tritons accordingly. Damage the pillars, and you can go ahead and move on with the rest of the Nexus of Atlantis. So that first fight, I did die in, but the next fight is actually going to be significantly easier because the next fight is going to include slightly less Tritons, and it's going to introduce an element of Gorgons into the fight, which makes any fight easier because Gorgons can freeze enemies, allowing them to instantly die, and Gorgons can't actually damage you unless you mess up the QTE, or unless you get frozen. At this point, I'm beginning to power up my magic, but it doesn't matter. This stuff is all extra, just nice to have, but not necessary for actually beating the game. So moving into our next fight, as I said, this is going to be Tritons and Gorgons. This fight is significantly easier than the first one, again, because Gorgons can't actually do any damage to you. So you have just a couple of enemies in the field that are going to try and occasionally freeze you, and will most likely end up freezing the other enemies, whether it be the other Gorgon or whether it be the Triton enemies. So good to have an encounter with Gorgons usually, because it means more options to take advantage of. As you see, and in fact, the Gorgon's green freeze beam also does damage. So if you freeze an enemy and then the Gorgon's stare continues to pierce that frozen enemy, then the stone will just shatter and they'll die automatically. You don't even have to worry about hitting them. I was trying to bait the Gorgons into doing that again to show it, but they weren't feeling it at that particular moment, so I decided to just finish them off regular style, which is fine because our weapons are so powerful at this point that we're more than ready to do that. And again, Gorgons can't actually do any damage to you, so at this point I'm also showing off just how much damage the Arms of Sparta do. 10, 11. Takes 10 for the QTE to pop up. That's how much damage the Arms of Sparta Rapid Spear Assault does. So it's a very good idea to invest and get that Rapid Spear Assault as soon as possible, just because of just the incredible amount of damage that it does. And the fact that barely any enemy can stand up to that. At this point, though, we're now on our way to activate the first Poseidon statue, which will be a pretty straightforward affair. Not that much to it. Again, it's a PSP title, so we're not going to have any grand puzzles to do this. The whole puzzle is just getting there. Getting there and fighting the enemies that we need to fight to actually get there. And in this case, the enemies we need to fight is another automaton and some more Triton assassins. This fight's a little bit more complicated, if only because the automaton is more mobile than the Gerard that we fought earlier. But still, same basic premise. Deal with the assassins first, because they're pretty annoying. They try to pick you off from a distance, and then you can deal with the automaton last. And thanks to the Arms of Sparta, it's very quick affair to deal with the assassins. Though you are probably going to take some damage from the automaton in the meantime, which in high difficulty playthroughs is not great because it's a lot of damage. But after dealing with all the assassins, it's a pretty simple affair to just deal with the automaton by itself. We've already done this a few times. We already know how it goes. This one isn't that much more powerful than the ones we faced before. I didn't do a great job since I do almost die, but the basic premise of the fight is not complicated at all. And we have another gear, which is good, because if we didn't get this gear, we wouldn't have been able to actually reactivate the Poseidon statue. So it's a good thing with this thing. It's a good thing this thing showed up when it did. Moving forward, though, again, it's a PSP title, so we don't have any grand puzzles to reactivate the Poseidon statues. Now that we have the automaton gear, it's just going to be a matter of plugging it in and just letting it do its thing. We have another item chest here. That's good. Always good to get some more red orbs. And now with the automaton gear, we can go ahead and reactivate our first of 2 Poseidon statues. So there's going to be a short cutscene after we put this in. Yeah, I'll see you after that. Okay, that is the first statue reactivated, and we have a path forward to get to our second statue. That's good. Good stuff, no complaints there. Before getting back, though, we are going to have another encounter in the same arena that we encountered the automaton in. This is a slightly more difficult fight because it's going to be Minotaurs and Gorgons. I said normally encounters with Gorgons make fights easier because Gorgons, are assets to you, really, overall. In this case, I messed up the QTE, and it killed me anyway, which is not great. So here's what you actually want to do. You want to focus on dealing with the Minotaurs first, and hoping that the Gorgons will freeze the Minotaurs for you to deal with them faster. But if not, then use some magic. Minotaurs aren't the most threatening of the myth creatures that you're going to fight in this game, but they do a lot of damage. And while it can all be blocked, if you don't see it coming, it's pretty devastating. Take advantage of the Gorgons, whether it's the fact that they use their freeze beams to unintentionally freeze other enemies, or you use their QTE death animation to freeze all the enemies immediately around you. Use the Gorgons to your advantage. I did a little bit, but this final Minotaur, I think I end up killing the normal way because. Oh no! I managed to freeze it. That's good. Thanks to the very powerful Blades of Athena. That's good. It's been a while since I recorded this footage, so in some cases I'm learning what I've done in real time. But I have a pretty good memory, so for most of the stuff I just remember what I did before. For most of it, definitely not for all of it. That said, after that slightly more difficult than I would have liked encounter, an encounter that I just messed up, unfortunately, we're back at the Nexus of Atlantis, and now we're on our way to the second Poseidon statue. Once we get that second statue going, then we can get back to the center area that we were at before, raise the bridge, and get into get to the Death Gate, which allows us access to the Domain of Death itself. Can't wait for that. I mean, if you thought Atlantis was really good looking, the Domain of Death is really awesome. And Domain of Death is a really good looking place. The developers really focused their attention on the island of Crete, Atlantis, both the regular version and the sunken version, and the Domain of Death. Those are the 3 areas that look fantastic. Not that the other areas don't. Sparta looks great. The mountains of Aurania and Laconia look good, but definitely the focus was was this end game stuff and the beginning of the game stuff. Oh look, it's Linnaeus again. Yay, our favorite side character. He's blocking our way. God damn him. Or gods damn him, I guess. Poseidon damn him, Zeus damn him, or whatever. Hades damn him, whatever. I'm showing off the grab attack you can do while you're fighting enemies on walls. It's fine. It leaves you kind of vulnerable while you do it, so I don't do it that often, but it's an option. It's a thing you can do. Yeah, we're not going to have mercy. This guy's been getting in our way too often, so we're just going to go ahead and kill him. Alright, that takes care of that. Farewell to the greatest side character God of War has ever seen. Now we can make our way to the automaton, because as you'd expect, we need another gear to activate the second Poseidon statue. Thankfully, we don't even need to fight this automaton. It's just, its gear is already ours for the taking, thanks to this electrified water. So that's good stuff. Nice freebie. And considering how many automatons we already fought so far in this game, it's nice to have a freebie at the very end. Refill our magic, and now refilling our health. There we go. We'll be moving on to the second Poseidon statue. I believe there is an encounter before we can actually place the gear where it needs to go. It's going to be an encounter of many tritons in a narrow bridge. Not that difficult. It's the combination of the more powerful regular mooks and the and some assassins over on the far ledge. I tried showing off some other stuff from the Arms of Sparta, but in the high difficulty playthroughs, really, it's a good idea to just save the Arms of Sparta for long distance combat, and short distance combat, face to face stuff. Really, just use your Blades of Athena powered up to max with Theris Bane, because you can't actually use Theris Bane with the Arms of Sparta. It's exclusive to just the Blades of Athena. Plus the grabs. Grabs are always good. Plenty of invincibility frames. Definitely take advantage of that. There we go. With all the regular mooks taken care of, it's just a very simple matter to deal with the assassins in the back. And now we're going to have ourselves another quick little cutscene where we reactivate the second Poseidon statue. So I will see you all after that. Okay, and that is the second statue. So now it's time to get back to the center and to raise our bridge and get to the domain of death. No more dilly-dallying around. It's time to get into the second part of the end game. Before that, we have one more big swimming section. Again, absolutely beautiful underwater effects that they have going on here. It looks wonderful. I really like how they made the underwater look and feel. It is a little bit slow, but compared to the aesthetics of God of War 2005 or Chains of Olympus, or the very, very brief time that we did any swimming in God of War Ascension, Ghost of Sparta is great with the swimming. It even introduces some little mechanics here to make it a little bit more of a tense thing, like these walls that are going to be closing in. It's a timed thing, so don't worry. They will open up again. You're not stuck. You're not stuck on the other side just because the walls close once. And you have plenty of time to do like 3 or 4 dashes to get out of that crushing wall scenario. Got some fun currents here that you can also be part of, and there's a big old crushing wall situation, but now we can use our blades to save ourselves. it's not, you know, it's not big stuff, but it's stuff that adds some tension and interactivity to sections that would have normally been just boring swimming, a la Ascension, which is why I guess Ascension just elected to not do anything with the swimming, as opposed to doing at least something like Ghost of Sparta did. But we're coming up towards the end now. Once we make our way past this whole swimming section, we're going to have a very minor hallway encounter, and then we're going to have our last big encounter of the video. The encounter where I die quite a few times, because we're going to be fighting in that center arena that we were at when we first made it to the area called Ancient Atlantis, and it's going to be a very, very awkward arena to fight in, and we're going to be fighting some big Geryon enemies that don't make it easy to navigate that very small arena, considering how much damage they do. It's not a great place for a big encounter. But you'll see that in a little bit. For now, we have to deal with these two assassins. There's an invisible wall, so they can't actually get to us, which is great. Rapid Spear Assault, and doing some other Arms of Sparta stuff just to show off that the Arms of Sparta is just Rapid Spear Assault. Rapid Spear Assault is the best thing of the Arms of Sparta, but it's not the only thing it can do. Get ourselves our final magic and health refills, another item chest here. A couple of assassins at the top of the stairs here, but these don't matter. The main event is coming up, where we're going to be having ourselves our next, our final big encounter of the video, and a difficult encounter again because of the size of the arena. So here we go. This is the final encounter of the video. The first wave is just a bunch of harpies that are very easily dispatched. I would recommend saving your magic. I made a mistake using as much magic as I did, because I was pretty overconfident. I didn't think I was going to have a problem with this fight, because I did pretty well in my practice playthroughs, but as you can see, the Geryons really kicked my butt here a few times. Like 4 times, I think. Not a great encounter. Very small, awkward arena. Their shock attacks have more range than you would think. It's not fun. So up to 17 deaths now, but this time is going to be the time where I'm going to win, and I'm going to win by doing a very, very specific technical strategy here. So I'm going to start by just killing harpies as I normally do. I'm going to make a point of leaving one harpy alive. Leaving just one harpy alive is going to make it so that in this particular arena, there always has to be a minimum of 2 enemies on screen, in the arena with Kratos. As long as you leave one of the harpies alive, then the Geryon won't. Then a second Geryon will not spawn into the arena, meaning that you can just deal with one Geryon at a time, so long as you leave one harpy alive. It's still kind of annoying, because the harpy is going to be flying around, it's going to be trying to do some damage at you, it's going to be trying to peck away at you, and if it actually grabs you and you're forced into the L1, R1 QTE, then you're kind of screwed, because completing that L1, R1 QTE is going to make it so that Kratos automatically kills the harpy, allowing a second Geryon to spawn into the arena. But as long as you don't do that, or as long as you delay that for as long as possible, then you can kill the Geryons one at a time, as opposed to having to deal with 2 in the arena at any given moment, which is much, much worse. There's a total of 3 Geryons in this fight, I think. Possibly 4, but I think it's 3. And unfortunately, I kill the harpy here. So now the second Geryon spawns in, because there has to be 2 enemies in the arena at any given point in time, and because the harpy's gone, one of those enemies couldn't be the harpy anymore, so now it had to be the second Geryon. So now I'm just using magic to try and increase damage from a distance. Very awkward arena. Again, you can't really see most of it. If the Geryons are in a place where you can't see them, then you're kind of screwed, because they can teleport around. They're very, very, very devastating. You don't like them at all. At this point, I'm making a point of putting off doing the QTE for the Geryon that I got down to kill range for as long as possible, just so that I could be at a point where one of the times when I died in this encounter was because I had just killed the Geryon, and then the other one surprised me with like a teleport attack. So I wanted to make sure that the other one was as close to death as possible, so that as soon as I killed one with the QTE, I could immediately go in and kill the other one with the QTE and not have to worry about any surprise attacks or about the arena and getting me in a situation where I can't see what's happening. So thankfully it worked out this time. That is the encounter. That is the final encounter of the Sunken Atlantis. Now we get to move on towards the end of the video. There's no more fighting in this video. Now we just get to move forward into the end game now. That's exciting. I finished leveling up my Scourge of Aranis. Again, don't actually need it, but it's good to have for certain encounters later on, for certain encounters in the end game. It's nice to have that extra bit of insurance, but it's not necessary in terms of upgrading. Now we've gone ahead and raised the bridge. It's time to enter the Domain of Death. We made it. We're about to pass another save point, by the way. There is a save point right after this bridge that if you save at it, similar to the save point before Sparta, this save point is going to cut off the music. So don't save at this save point. There's another one like a minute after it, so don't worry about it. There's no encounters between this save point and the next one, so don't save there. We made it. Death Gate. Use the skull to create a little bridge. The door opens. The Domain of Death is within reach. Next time, ladies and gentlemen, it is the end game. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.